Hey everyone, Hallie here. In today's video, we are going to be talking about what your Marvel rival main says about you. Essentially, what we're going to be talking about in today's video is we're going to be looking at various Marvel rival characters and looking at various stereotypes that come with people who play those types of characters and talking about what it means if you play one of these characters. Of course, this video is completely objective. It is not meant to be a joke at all. Please take this video super seriously. And without further ado, let's go ahead and look at what your Marvel rival main says about you. Hulk mains are an interesting breed of people. Usually once you hit Diamond, you will see that Hulk is banned quite frequently. At first, what I wanted to put here was you are either a Hulk player who jumps into the enemy backline and dies, or you are a Hulk player who plays on the front line with your team and provides a shield and are actually useful. That is certainly possible that you could be either one of these types of players. You either are completely useless to your team or help provide on the front line as a Hulk main. You also probably have horrible aim, so you prefer a melee character, and your least favorite part about Hulk is his side abilities where you actually have to aim. Overall, if you're a Hulk player, you're usually pretty cool. If you're able to get a good Hulk on your team though, it is so nice, and that shield that they have can genuinely save you from so many ultimates, such as Jeff. You can completely cancel out Jeff's ultimate using Hulk's shield ability, which is just incredible. So if you're a good Hulk player, your team loves you. If you're a bad Hulk player, you are a nuisance to your team. Of course, that's with any character, but especially Hulk. A bad Hulk player, a bad tank in general, can be quite detrimental. So let's go ahead and look at the next character. Magneto mains. Now, I have noticed in my gameplay, I will say I am about Diamond 1 at my rank. Very close to Grandmaster, I will say so myself. I have noticed that Magneto mains, and in general just Magneto players, are quite whiny. These are incredibly whiny individuals who will likely find any possible way to complain about their team. However, whenever you get a Magneto who doesn't complain about their team, I mean, it's incredibly rare, but when you find a Magneto that isn't constantly whining and, actually does their job and just plays the game, Magneto can be great. I have just noticed that a significant amount of Magneto players are just incredibly whiny, and the funny part about these whiny players too is usually they have no idea how Magneto even works, such as his ultimate. For those of you who don't know, and hopefully, if you're a Magneto main, this will help you in case you don't know what his ultimate does. When you activate Magneto's ultimate, your orb gains more damage the more that enemies shoot at you and fire more projectiles at you. There's a little bar that fills up when you use Magneto's ultimate, right? So you want to be using this ultimate whenever you're being shot at, just to have a lot of damage output. And I feel like a lot of these Magneto mains, especially the obnoxious ones who complain about the team or just find any way to complain about literally anything, usually have no idea how this ultimate even works, and they'll just use it randomly. So Magneto mains can be quite obnoxious, so when they're good, they're alright. I do certainly prefer Hulk players though, I will say, just because I don't know, I just feel like Hulk players are cooler than Magneto players. I'll say it. Alright, we covered some of the tanks, so let's go ahead and look at what some duelist mains say about you. We're going to start off with a pretty common duelist you will see within your games, especially if you're playing ranked, and that is Scarlet Witch. If you're a Scarlet Witch main, you probably realize very early on that aiming can be hard. So you just use the character who doesn't have to aim, and you just need to position the enemy in the general area of your screen, and then you'll damage them. Despite this and your inability to aim, you still get plenty of damage every single game, especially if you're a Scarlet Witch main. However, most of this damage is just going to be coming from your main attack and maybe some of your abilities. It is very uncommon, even if you're a Scarlet Witch main. I mean, I'm serious. I have seen so many Scarlet Witch players in my games, and they very rarely get a kill with their ultimate. So I feel like even if you're a Scarlet Witch main, people are just so used to her screaming pure chaos that it is very hard to get a kill with her ultimate. At least I've found that. But when you do get a kill with your ultimate, especially if you're a Scarlet Witch main, that's why you keep playing. It is so satisfying. And yeah, you pick Scarlet Witch because she was very forgiving. And now you just love her too much to switch. And I don't blame you. Okay, she is a good character. She has a strong DPS. But usually Scarlet Witch mains, I mean, you guys, sometimes you guys are good, but sometimes you guys are lords. Like you have dedicated so much time to this character, and you don't get any more kills than a strategist. Scarlet Witch players, it really is the epitome of, even if you put so much time into a character, it doesn't make you good. There are certainly good Scarlet Witch players, but there are certainly a lot of bad Scarlet Witch mains. Let's go ahead and look at Iron Man. Now, I really enjoy Iron Man myself. And I have found that when an Iron Man is played, there's really two main types of play styles with Iron Man and how people use him. You can either A, rush with Iron Man, where you are pushing up into the enemy front line, and usually this works horribly. Iron Man is not meant to be in the enemy front line. He has mobility, but not that type of mobility. I found that Iron Man is much more successful when you play him the other way, where you just stay back and you are shooting your repulsor blast just into where the enemies are, doing damage from a distance, and, you know, just kind of chipping away at the enemies, as well as using your beam on just, like, enemies who get too deep into your backline. Look, if you rush as Iron Man and you main him, you can be a demon. You can most certainly be insane at this game, and that's why you're rushing people. Or, and I'll say that's probably about 10% of people who play like that. Or the other 90% have no idea how to use Iron Man and are just rushing in, they're dying, and then complaining that their strategists can't heal them, so their healers suck and it's not their fault for rushing. So, you know, that Iron Man is absolutely useless. Usually they will also complain. Pretty common for people who, especially when people just don't know how to play this game, they will just start complaining and blaming other people. So yeah, if you rush as Iron Man, I really don't think you know what you're doing, unless you do know what you're doing. But if you stay back as Iron Man, and if you're doing your job with him, getting damage, killing any DPS who gets too deep into your backline, helping out your healers, you can be great. He can become one of the strongest characters in the game, especially if you get a Hulk team up. A Hulk team up with Iron Man just feels so good. You get such a nice damage boost. So if you're an Iron Man player who rushes, you are useless, and I hate you. If you're an Iron Man player who stays back, and I mean, you don't even really got to be doing that great. As long as you're staying back and just damaging people and doing your job, you know, you're good in my book. And usually you're pretty chill. Just be a good one. All right, don't rush. If you stay back, I like you. If you go up front, we all hate you. The Iron Fist players. Okay, there's two types of Iron Fist players. There really isn't any middle ground I have found. You are either A, the worst player on the planet. You will, I kid you not, in the most recent game I had with an Iron Fist player, I was playing as a healer, and this person was just wall running at the top of the map. That was all they were doing. It was a comp game. I'm in Diamond. And yeah, all they were doing was just wall running at the top of the map, avoiding the healers, avoiding the front line, just off in the corner. So yeah, I low-key hate Iron Fist players if you do that. Yeah, you can be really annoying if you're a bad Iron Fist player, just because of how much potential the character has. Speaking of potential, look, if you're a good Iron Fist player and you're able to basically, I mean, I'd say beat up the healers, but if you're playing Iron Fist and if you're good with him, you're going to be beating the hell out of the entire enemy team. And hey, your whole team loves you for it. The enemy team will hate you, especially their healers. And I mean, just everyone on the enemy team. A good Iron Fist can be disgusting, but a bad Iron Fist can be incredibly annoying to deal with. I don't know. I've also found that Iron Fist players, the bad ones are quite just clueless in general. They usually just have no idea what's going on. I guess that goes for any bad player, but especially Iron Fist players. It is just so annoying to have a bad Iron Fist player on your team. So just know that if you're a bad Iron Fist player, your team hates you. Like, if you're not doing good with him, just get off him, okay? And I'm also going to mention Magik while we're here. Magik is incredibly similar to Iron Fist players. They both share an incredibly similar role, where if you're a bad Magik player, Usually you're a little bit more vocal than the Iron Fist players. Usually you'll complain a little bit more. But yeah, I found that Magic players and Iron Fist players are incredibly similar in the fact that when you have a good one, they're fantastic. When you have a bad one, they're incredibly annoying. So I kind of wanted to just combo these two together. I didn't really have like a stereotype for these people. It's just, look, if you suck, you really suck. Your whole team especially hates you, especially compared to like when you're playing other characters. And if you're good, we appreciate it. All right, so that's a few duelists out of the way. Let's go ahead and get into the final section of this video where we are going to be looking at various healers and what your healer main says about you. The first character I have here is Invisible Woman. And I have found that Invisible Woman players are usually Cloak and Dagger refugees who may have discovered how to aim and they no longer need a lock-on mechanic in order to aim their projectiles. With this ability to aim, usually if you're an Invisible Woman player, even if you're an Invisible Woman main, you will just play her like a DPS. Especially if you have just played Marvel Rivals. I'm sure every single person who's watching this video right now has had a game where an Invisible Woman is either on their team or the enemy team, and they have more kills than the DPS or a DPS. Yeah, that's Invisible Woman players for you. Usually they just prefer to deal damage. Although when you do get an Invisible Woman player on your team who's actually using her shield and, trying to heal the team, it can be fantastic though. Invisible Woman players usually don't treat her like a strategist, and that kind of annoys me, to be honest. I'll just say it. I wish Invisible Woman players healed a little bit more, but you guys can be good, you guys can be bad. Usually you just focus on damage though. I respect it. Now we have Cloak and Dagger. Look, you know quality. You know a good character when you see one. And I mean, that's what Cloak and Dagger is. I think Cloak and Dagger is one of the best characters in the game. And if you're a Cloak and Dagger player, you know what's good. You know what a good character is. You're smart. I really don't have too much to say about Cloak and Dagger players. You guys are smart. You guys are great. You guys are beautiful. As long as you're healing and doing your job, usually, I mean, look, and I say Cloak and Dagger, as in you're using both of the characters. I'm sure we have all seen people who just play Cloak, and they don't heal, and it's the worst thing that ever happened. But usually if you're a Cloak and Dagger main, you'll be healing the team and helping out effectively. So, yeah, if you're a Cloak and Dagger player, you're cool. And you know what a good character is. So, and the final character, the final stereotype that I'm going to be talking about today is Loki players. Look, Loki, he can be quite situational, and even, I mean, Loki players probably understand this. You'll have an easier time with Loki on certain maps compared to others, just given the fact that certain maps you can just place better spots for your mimics, where they have, better sight lines, less of a chance to be shot, things like that. Especially with your ultimate is entirely dependent on it can be, I mean, it's incredibly situational ultimate, but when the situation arises when a Loki ultimate is needed, it can absolutely change the game. I honestly think Loki players and Loki mains, especially the ones who know how to use him and know how to use his ultimate effectively, aren't scared to switch into a DPS or a tank and actually get kills and like provide for their team when they switch into a DPS. If you're a Loki player who's competent and knows when to use him and knows the situations in which he is useful, you can save the game. And honestly, you usually won't get thanks for it. Because they'll think it was someone else, whoever you switched into. But yeah, Loki he can be situational, and I'm sure if you're a Loki main, you understand that. But when those situations arise when you do need a Loki, he can be incredible. So, if you're a Loki player, you realize this, and you realize just how fun Loki can be, especially the random factor of who you might be switching into, especially, if you're solo queuing and you have no idea who your team is going to pick or who the enemies are going to pick. Loki can be a pretty fun character, just to force you to use like some random characters sometimes. I feel like he makes you a better player overall just by playing him. And yeah, I mean, Loki players, you guys, You guys are a bit situational, and I'm sure you all understand the situational nature of Loki, but you also appreciate that situational nature of Loki. And he is also a good healer overall. He can do some pretty solid damage. So if you're a Loki player, you're smart, you're usually quite patient, I have found, waiting for those right situations. So we all appreciate you. At least I appreciate you. Just know that, Loki players. And with that being said, that is what your Marvel Rival main says about you. I thought this would just be a fun video to kind of talk about some characters in Marvel Rivals, and of course, you know, what playing them says about you. I know I didn't go through every single character in this video, and if I did, this video would probably be much longer. But if you guys would like to see another version of this video where we cover a little bit more characters, be sure to let me know down in the comments below. And if you have any suggestions for like Marvel Rival stereotypes based on like characters, be sure to let me know. I'd love to hear what you guys have to say down in the comments below. With all that being said, thank you so much for watching. It really does mean the world to me. Especially watching to the very end of the video. It seriously does mean a lot to me. And yeah, with all that being said, I really do hope you enjoyed. Be sure to leave a like. But yeah, I'm trying to think of what else I need to say, and I don't think I have anything else to say. So, that being said, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.